What's happening, guys? Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. If you celebrated, if not, that's okay. Hey, so I had my friend Orrin Thompson come over, big OT, Duke football player, went and played in the NFL, and you'll learn a little bit about what I mean by play, as he will loosely put it. He participated for the Green Bay Packers, the Miami Dolphins, the New York Giants, and then his career went into the United Football League and then finalized in the Canadian Football League with the Edmonton Eskimos. Talks about that, talks about his brother being drafted by the Packers, playing on that team, and then what he's doing now as a trainer here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and then continues on to talk about, some of the things that he's learned in his athletic career, advice that he gives to the kids that he trains, as well as we talk Duke North Carolina rivalry. We had to talk about it. As a Duke fan, I had to bring it up. If you live in North Carolina or if you live in the U.S., you know that Duke Carolina is a big rivalry, especially in basketball, but it transcends to all the sports, and he talks about that in the football arena. And then we finalize it with who he is as a husband and as a dad, and what the future again holds for Orrin. Great conversation, good back and forth. Appreciated him coming by. Hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks. Welcome to 2 Cents Worth. I'm your host, Ryan DeFaber. I'm here with Mr. Mike Metcalf, the current co-head coach of Chip Ganassi Racing Pit Crew.
Yep.
And we're going to talk today about how, Mike, you got into NASCAR. We're also going to talk a little bit about who you are and what else you have going on. But
not much. I don't have
not much.
On.
So on top of your full-time job of being pit crew, you also were an ambassador for Lululemon, but still tied to the family, as you called it.
Yep.
Clean Juice, an ambassador for them.
Yep.
You are chairman of Charlotte Rescue Mission, co-owner of Deck Leadership, which we'll talk about that as well.
Okay.
And a father and a husband.
Yeah.
So you have nothing going
Those are
on.
the last two are the most important ones.
See, that's nice. I like that. As a father of my own, the kids and the wife are important.
Absolutely.
So let's just get right into it.
Okay.
I want to understand how.
This is going to be a really short podcast. I don't have much to say.
Oh, yeah. It better not be. How did you.
Yep.
So you go from running back, fullback at App State, playing college football, to you're out of football, you've graduated. What are you going to do next?
So I was a finance and banking major, and I just initially I was like, I'll go work at Bank of America, right? Charlotte's a big banking town, finance major. There'll be plenty of opportunities, and there were people that I knew actually from high school, Charlotte Christian. Brad Shelby, I don't know if you remember the Shelby family. He wanted me to come work for him. There was a couple other people I kind of had some conversations with. And then I think I sat down to just think about it one day, and then it was just the sitting down part and being like, this is what my life's going to look like. And I was like, absolutely not. So I tore my ACL twice in college.
Okay.
And there were at times where I felt like I was starting to kind of break through and not just my own personal opinion. I mean, I'm getting it from teammates and coaches. Man, you keep this up, you'll be our guy, kind of thing. So, I never lost that urge, desire to feel like I had a little more in me. So I was like, I'm gonna keep training. And there's a pro day at App State, and there's some other kind of workout things coming up, and so another high school connection, power relationships, right?
Yeah, right.
Robert Walker was he was a basketball coach when I was maybe my 10th grade year. He was one of the basketball coaches. And so, I go through college, and we were in touch. I worked for him during the summer with the Thompson brothers. And so he was going to go into being a sports agent that year. This was his first year right when I got out of college. He was like, well, you up for being my first guy to sign? I was like, absolutely. Let's, I was like, I can't promise you where I'm going to make it anywhere.
Right, if I'm going to make it.
But yeah, so he hooked me up with a guy named Ben Cook, who was strength and conditioning basketball at Chapel Hill. came to Charlotte to do like private training with I think it was like Alan Tyson, Chip Sigmund. These were guys that had worked with the Hornets, and so they were going to do their own private thing. So and they come from Carolina. He had some great connections. He's training like Julius Peppers back in the day. Steve Smith was probably his biggest client. So I started working with him, and it wasn't that he wasn't doing a good enough job. He just had a lot of free time because he had these guys for a few hours in the morning, and that was kind of it.
Yeah. So
he got hired by Evernham Motorsports that year to take over their strength and conditioning program, just to run their pit crews, because this is probably 15 years ago, 20 years ago. They would get the mechanics and try to turn them into athletes, for a few hours on the weekend. And then around that time, people were like, well, maybe we do it the other way. Maybe we get athletes and then try to turn them into mechanics for 3 hours. So I had a workout in Indianapolis, RCA Dome, in front of a bunch of scouts, and I actually did really well. Not like well enough to go to the NFL, but people were arena, indoor. There's some European leagues that were, I was kind of in conversations with. And then Ben said, when you get back from this combine, once you come up to the race shop, I think you'd be good at on our pit crew. And I said, what's that? What's a pit crew?
Yeah, right.
I was like, is that the people that the fast people? Yeah. Okay, sweet. I don't know anything about racing. He was like, yeah, that's fine. We'll teach you. And so I did. I got back from Indy. This was like I don't know, 05, summer 05, and went up there maybe around August. And it took us a while to coordinate it, but he had me do a 40-yard dash and a 5-10-5 and some other movement stuff and running around a car. And then I wouldn't find this out till later, but he just put me through a few different drills. Hey, put the tire on the car. I guess at one point one of the mechanics walked out and then walked upstairs and was like, I don't know who this kid is, but I've never seen anybody pick up putting a tire on that quick. And so I started January of 06. Okay. And then like 5 weeks later, we were in Daytona. So I had never been
went
to
right
a
into
race. I got, and it's not like that anymore.
Yeah.
And if I had to start now, where these guys, they got some monsters, man, just some incredible athletes. I mean, since I've been in racing over the last like 5-10 years, we've had a couple Navy SEALs, we've had Marines, we've had NFL players, like legit.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I could compete with these kids now, and when I got in, I was kind of early on. So one of the athletes that got in, and so they ended up offering me a job, and I took it. I prayed about it, kind of thing, talked to people, and I thought maybe it'd be fun to go play football in Italy, just live up in the near the Alps, and they had this fun league up there. But I was like, I already kind of know what football's like.
Right.
It would just be like getting paid to do it. Let's try this racing thing out for a couple years, and then we'll kind of go from there. And then that was, next week's the last race of the season, and that'll be my end of my 13th year. So
that's crazy, because I remember. So I worked for Robert.
Yep.
And I just remember you and the Thompson brothers there during the summer, basically.
Mm-hmm. Back out in his warehouse in the
filling the
sweatshop.
pallets, and we're sending magazines out. You guys were the hired muscle. But you brought up a couple things that I want to talk about, because I don't think I know it, because I know you and I know some other people in NASCAR, but people listening out there, you mentioned a few things. Race teams have strength and conditioning coaches.
Uh-huh.
Athletes in NASCAR, because there's a perception, if you're not tied to it and you don't know it, the perception is NASCAR is a bunch of hillbillies.
That's right.
And like you said before, it used to be the mechanics that worked on the car were the pit crew. And so it's amazing to me to think about the fact that there's an investment now from a race crew that and not now, I mean, you said 13 years you've been in this thing, but that they have strength and conditioning coaches, and that you guys are the everyday athlete that doesn't get any of the glory because you're not the driver, but you're the ones picking up 80-pound tires, throwing them over a wall, filling up the gas tank, which is 95 pounds full.
95 pounds full.
And you're holding it on your shoulder straight up.
Yep.
And you do that in how fast is a pit stop?
If you can do it in 12 seconds, you're rolling.
12 seconds, four tires and gas?
18 gallons of gas, 12 seconds. Yeah, not bad, right? It's imagine the frustration of when I have to go to Shell to fill the car
right, you're
up.
sitting there for 5 minutes.
Man, if I would just have my stuff from work, I'd be in and out of here in no time.
So how So you're recruited into it, and
Yeah.
and I also read that now you were on the forefront of that, being the athlete into it.
Yeah.
Now it's 80% are athletes from the pit
Phew,
crews,
man,
maybe more.
maybe more. Yeah. I mean, it's like I mean to kind of go back to what you said, it's full on strength conditioning coaches, athletic trainers, athletic director that's in charge of that program, part of
Yeah,
the race team. For most teams, we're kind of like blue collar. So Sean and I kind of wear strength and conditioning, recruiting, coaching, training, film review, uh, a lot of different hats. But we do outsource our strength and conditioning part. So we've got this guy named Jason Lindsay locally that's a kind of started as a golf coach, but his
okay,
expertise is rotation. So we've customized our. When I first started, it was just kind of classical strength and conditioning. Well, our groups work out in group. The carriers work out together, the tire changers work out together, the jackmen and gasmen work out together, and all our stuff's customized to like everything's asymmetrical. It's not like a sport where you're going to run right and left. We're always running around the car the
right,
same way. My gas can's always on my right side.
okay,
And so part of this workout is to bring some symmetry back just for after, you know, want to throw a football with your kids 20 years from now so that you're not,
crazy.
screwed up, but also to, so that the right muscles are firing properly. So we've dissected it down, every movement that you do on a pit stop, and we train for that and build it back up. Our strength and conditioning starts at the top of the year with just walking, starting at the very simple. So we're teaching these guys that have been in NFL,
Yeah,
that been out in war on terrorism and come back and we're like, yeah, you're gonna learn how to walk. And they're like, really? No, seriously. That's what we're doing
that's the
today. Is
first
we're
thing.
walking, yeah,
Yeah,
and just start and kind of build from there. Wednesday, there's a gym. Our gym's nice, but it's just not huge. So
yeah,
we've got 25 pit crew guys. So there's a CrossFit gym across the street. So we've got with that head trainer, the guy that owns that building, massive gym, one of the nicest ones in the country, Vitality Fitness. Until we go there and train on Wednesdays. Thursdays we're back with the kind of the programming that we do on Tuesday. Monday is generally either kind of on your own, or if we do it as a group, we'll do yoga or swimming, just something kind of low impact to kind of debrief from the weekend. Typically off Friday, and then we're generally racing Saturday, Sunday. So the week to me looks and feels a lot like how it did in football.
yeah, right.
Compete on the weekends, and then you kind of reset early. You're hitting it hard. Like Tuesday, Wednesdays are heavy days. I mean,
Okay.
I sleep. I asked my wife. She's like, yeah, I have to cook a lot more food on Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm just hungry, man, because we've
Yeah,
been moving weight all day, long practices, and it's definitely very physical. There's film review. There's just a lot of mental reps, and like you said, we're kind of below the radar. When you win a race, it's generally like, oh man, that car was just really fast.
mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, the driver was on it. It's very rarely like, man, the picker guys were awesome today. Now we lose them every week, right?
Right, of
Like
course
if
you
you
do.
don't win, it was the picker's fault.
Of course.
That's just kind of how that works. So literally, I was looking at it this morning. Darlington, probably 6 weeks ago, we ran up front all day, probably top five, and every stop but the last one. Now the times are kind of all over the place a
Yeah.
little bit, but we managed to, anytime we came in with the lead, we maintained it, or if we were like second, we would go to first. The very last stop, we came in first and went out second. Our pit stop was 0.51 slower than the person that passed us. And it like people in the shop wouldn't talk to us. It was like people, yeah, it's crazy.
That's wild.
0.5, like blink your eyes 3 times as fast as you can.
Fractions of seconds.
If you blink your eyes 3 times as fast as you can, that's 0.6. Our pit stop was actually faster than that,
Wow.
right? Half a second, and that's the margins that we're working with.
What is that like from like a stress perspective? Just knowing that like when that car pulls in, your job is 12 seconds or
Yeah.
less.
Yeah, it's
Like what's the adrenaline has to just be going. Like does it go the whole race or does it
no,
peak at
yeah, it's like a EK or whatever, is that EKG or whatever
Yeah,
it is?
sure.
Like it's flat and then up,
Yeah.
like way up and then down. So there's about 20 seconds. Say your pit stop's 12, 13, right? But then there's like 5 seconds leading up, and then a couple seconds after where, I'll ask guys like, what point in that did you take a breath? Dude, I don't know. I mean, what was going on like beyond the car, or did you see that big crazy person behind the stall doing? And it's like, no, you black out for about 15, 20 seconds,
and all the focus is on the job.
I don't notice anything. It's crazy. I had where were we yesterday? Phoenix.
Yeah.
One of the mechanics left when you top the car off before the race, like the gas kind of spills out. So you put rags around the fuel collar, just to keep fuel from going all over the place. Well, the mechanic forgot to pull it. So I go in to plug the can on the very first stop, and there's these rags. I can't get the thing in.
Oh.
So I'm yanking rags out and then have to stuff the car in it. So, but I thought about it afterwards. I was like, I was doing that with one hand
and holding 100
and just
pounds.
holding 100-pound can with one, like, but I never even thought about where the can was, what I was doing with it. Was it going to tip over because I was doing something that I've never practiced? You don't think about any of it. You there's a task for you to do, and you just lock in and you get it done however you can.
So for anybody listening, if you're not into NASCAR, just watch it. Because now that you have an idea, like, it is an orchestra that you guys are conducting, basically, right? Like, you talk about you're watching film. So you're watching film to see where you guys can improve that 0.51 seconds for the next time.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever appreciated watching a pit crew, because it's the same thing, right? Like, you want to watch, all right, oh God, it's a pit stop. Let's go. Like, let's get the cars back out there. But now you talking through it, like, I didn't realize you guys, I mean, I should have, but I didn't realize you guys are watching film. I knew you worked out. Like, I knew you guys had this strength program because just knowing you, but I didn't realize how involved what you guys do on a day-to-day.
Yeah.
Like, how your week is broken out like that.
I've got a helmet camera that I'm wearing. The changers have helmet cameras. There's an overhead camera. So you're looking at it even like right after
like a point of view.
Yeah, right after the pit stop happens, you get your stuff kind of set back up for the next stop, because your car could come right back down, and you just go right to the screens.
What's the relationship between the pit crew and the crew chief?
Love hate.
Yeah,
it's it depends. And I wish it wasn't this way. There's a few of them that the guys that I work with, so like in the Xfinity series, like with that rag, is Mike Shiplett, and he's probably been one of the best crew chiefs in the Xfinity series over the last couple of years. One with, I think, 6 different drivers, which is insane. And just he's in there in the gym. He's working out at lunch. He's like giving us a hard time. Matt McCall's the same way. He's crew chief on the one car. These are guys that they will not hesitate to speak their mind and let you know. If they're not. I mean, I was in Bristol. It was probably a couple of years ago. I mean, so there's a pit box that the crew chiefs sit on.
Yep.
And there's a stair set that's on the back side of the pit box. And then there's, tires and people and pit crew or support people, mechanics. Anyway, I'm gassing the car. It drops. It leaves. I look at it leave maybe 2 stalls away. So we're talking like 2-3 seconds. I turn my head to go to the wall, and he is in my helmet screaming at me. And I was just like, whoa, how did you get down there so fast? Let's talk about that, because maybe you should be on the pit crew, because you're apparently really fast. And just he saw something, and it ended up being like, okay, it wasn't quite what he saw, but he was going to let me know about it, and I'm okay with that, That's why you get athletes. People that are used to being yelled at, who have thick skin, and I think that's where it's gone. And I think the more people that can kind of like just take the heat, the better you're going to be. You're going to take heat. It's just one of those industries. Sean and I say we are, kind of like from Deck Leadership. There's billions of success coaches, not too many failure coaches. We are in the business of failure. We operate on the edge of human possibility every weekend. Like, it's just impossible to be perfect when you're literally like, you're redlining. You're trying to push those guns, that jack, that fuel equipment. yourself as fast as you can
to the limit every time.
And so it, naturally speaking, there's going to be breakdowns. So we like our crew chiefs. Sometimes they don't like us, but it's all right.
That's all right. Yeah. So you mentioned a couple cars and everything. How many? So in 12 years, how many teams have you worked on?
Four. Yeah. So Evernham Motorsports started with Casey Kane and the 9 car, won a bunch of races that year, like 5-6 races. So I thought it was easy.
Yeah.
I used to go to victory lane and be like, winning's easy, like, suckers. Yeah. And then didn't win another race after that year for 6 years. So
you got it out early.
Yeah. It was fun. Spoiled me. There to Red Bull Racing for 5 years, Michael Waltrip Racing for 2 years, and then this will be the 5th year at Ganassi Racing.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just keep on bringing things into my questions, which is good.
Okay.
So you're in NASCAR, and we're going to get to more so how it's progressed from when you started. But tell me about that feeling of winning, because right, you're an athlete. You know what it's like to win a football game.
Right.
You know what it's like to win a basketball game.
Yeah.
What's it like winning a NASCAR race, right?
Yeah.
Is it different, or is it still that just elation of we did it?
Oh yeah, 100% we did it, and it's actually. So my sister Leah is a basketball player, right? Played at Chapel Hill. She's been in Europe for 10 years playing, and she was whining to me on a video chat last night about. They won a French Cup game, but they're second division, and so the Cup is all the divisions intermixed, and so the likelihood of a second division team winning the entire French Cup, beating all the power teams, is unlikely. It's doable, but it's unlikely. So, but the next Cup game is scheduled right a few days before Christmas, which was after when she's supposed to get her Christmas break. So they're whining about man, we won this first game, which means now we're going to have to cut into our Christmas break. And I was like, Leah, cry me a river, okay? You have a 1 in 2 chance of winning each week. I'm 1 in 40. Okay, if I could win anything, I'm up for it.
1 in 40.
There's 40 cars
at going 180 miles an hour.
Yeah, depending on
average,
the track.
right?
Yeah.
So you're also in the game of please don't crash.
Please don't crash. Please don't. I don't. Maybe the driver said something about another driver's wife. I don't know what all the crap they got going on, but people get wrecked randomly, and it's man, you put a lot of hard work into this.
Yeah.
And so it's almost it's better from the standpoint of when you win a race, you've earned it.
Yeah.
There's no oh, we just got lucky. Even if some people wreck and you were running third all day and the top 2 wreck on the last lap, you were there.
Yeah.
And you ran well enough to win 500 miles. You were the first one to do that. That's an accomplishment regardless of how you happen, how you get there. You can have ugly wins, I think, in, football.
Right.
But I will say it's a little bit different in the sense of, a football game. I can look back to. It's different. I can look back and say, man, I had that key first down there.
Right, yeah, certain
or
plays
scored this touchdown here.
That stand out.
Or I made that block here that sprung that receiver for that. And here it's yeah, I put the gas in the car that got us there, but I didn't directly have my footprint, handprint on the win as much. And I think maybe that's just because of the culture of it, right? Just it's all on the driver in the car. So a lot of times the wins, you really feel. I mean, I've had wins where. A couple of them where people in the organization were we would not have won that without you guys. Those are the ones that feel really, really special.
Right.
I've had some where with a pick crew, we were terrible.
And they still,
the car was just really fast, and we just won. So it's woo, let's celebrate. And you're yeah, I really would like to just go home right now. I don't.
So when you win, does the celebration happen when you get home? Because I know how. Most time, right? And for anybody listening, you guys fly in Friday?
Yeah, we Friday, Saturday, day before, typically.
Yeah. So you're not there in these cities. Some are cool, some are towns.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
For an extended period of time.
No, not long. And And after the race, so you win a race, you go to victory lane.
Yeah.
NASCAR takes your car. So you have to strip it down and do a bunch of like post-race debrief kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to the plane and go home. And it's right back to work Monday morning. So it's kind of, it's literally just like you have that elation for a moment. And the biggest moment is when the car crosses the checkered flag. Like victory lanes, I would maybe do it differently to make it more like, hey, we should celebrate this.
Yeah.
But it's kind of fleeting just because the season's long and grueling. And, you know, you have to like, okay, we won yesterday. Awesome. But what about Phoenix next week? What about Texas tomorrow? What about, well, the truck leaves for, you know, Kansas Tuesday morning. We got to get X, Y, and Z done. Yeah, we won, but we missed it on this stop because the lug nut did that. Well, that means first thing Monday morning, we're on a dyno trying something else. And so you kind of don't really get to think about it long.
Yeah, it's like, okay, good, we won. All right, now back into
back
the
to
routine.
work.
So next week, when this airs, which would be Sunday, that's the last race of the season.
Yep.
So then for you, is that, like you said, it's long and grueling. Is it kind of this, it's over, like kind of shut it off? Or is it the end of the season and then you guys are right still in the gym?
We were like that last year. The rule book came out the Monday or Tuesday after Miami, the last race. That pit crews would go from 6 guys to 5. That guns would be standardized starting next year. And so we usually kind of take some time off, and we really just didn't have that luxury. We had to overhaul the choreography, change rosters, personnel, figure out, okay, how do you do this with 5 people instead of 6? And so it's really cool because, I mean, I've seen times get into the 12s this year where we started last year, you know, if you could do... You wanted to be in like the 11 seconds and you could dip into the 10s. And if you were blazing, you could hit like a 9.9 with 6 people. But if you were in the 12s, you could live, right?
Yeah.
You could maintain generally your position. Well, we started Daytona, like a 16 was good because everybody had to figure out, like, how do you do this with 5 people? And just props to our industry and just the kind of people that we have. You know, everything is about efficiency and speed, and to be right back down in the 12s again is incredible. And
with
I feel
one less person.
With one less person.
Yeah.
So talk about being able to pivot and change. It's really cool to see like the efforts that some of these guys are giving.
So in the 12, 13 years, so you're talking about just like some rule changes and everything. So 12, 13 years you've been a part of NASCAR.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know because, again, the perception a lot of NASCAR is it's a southern sport.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the pit crews are, you know, the mechanics that were part of it. How is the overall, what's it like being a part of NASCAR 12 years ago to today? Like, what's changed? And it doesn't have to be this crazy, like, boil the ocean type thing. Maybe nothing's changed, but, like, culturally, has it changed for you guys?
I tell you what, I mean, Sean and I'm black, Sean's Canadian, so our team's really diverse, and it's not intentional. It's just like the people we like to be around.
Yeah,
right. But we've just like thrived on diversity. Our team's just definitely probably a lot more colorful than any other pick-apart department in the history of, of racing.
Really?
And it's been great, man. It's been great. So I think just us having the freedom to do that. What's changed for me is just having more control over my environment. And so that's been a lot of fun. This was probably way too technical, but the way the TV contract works now, the racetracks get a ton of the money.
Okay.
Whereas like in years past, I think it would maybe either go to the teams, different things like that. And so the racetracks have, you know, if you're making a ton of money as a racetrack, right? Like you don't really need to market a whole lot because that's just going to cut against your bottom line.
Right.
And then why not raise the prices a little bit?
Of course.
Yeah, because great if we get it. If not, we're still okay. You know? And so the prices have gone up a lot. When I first started, man, it was crazy. You would park. It was terrible. I was like, guys, come on, man. Like, why do we're parking 2 miles away from the racetrack and walking in? I'm tired before I get here, like drop
Really?
me off. Drop me off.
They're
This is
making you walk
ridiculous.
2 miles into
Yeah, we
the.
would park like places like Bristol and Martinsville, and I mean, you'd park a couple miles away, just because that was the fastest way to get to the airport. Because if you parked nearby,
You're stuck in the
you'd-
traffic.
oh man, you'd be locked down for 2-3 hours. And so now, I mean, some of these places where I, where we would go 12 years ago, that were just slammed, 150,000 people. Seas of RVs and campers, as far as you could see. Now you pull in and park right next to it and drive right out. And so
Okay.
I know that the TV, they wanted a TV fan base. Well, they got it. It was kind of at the expense of people showing up. So it's just seemed like there's a lot less people that's coming to watch racing. I mean, I think there's some different things that they could do. A lot of it's just society. I mean, people, if a new Mustang, I got an old Mustang. I like cars.
Okay.
If a new Mustang came out, 60s, 70s, 80s, it was like cool. You would go down and your dad would want to show it to you, or it was a
Right.
big deal. No one cares now if a
Yeah.
new Camry comes out. It just looks the same as the last one. And by the way, I'm a millennial and I just Uber and Lyft and scooter everywhere, so I don't give a crap about cars, right? So
Scooter
it's like, so it's just part of what's changed is like society,
Yeah.
and so like. I mean, I still think racing very much so has a place in the country. I think there are a lot of people that still care about it. They're still passionate. There's still young guys that are coming up that are really talented that can take the sport in a new, maybe areas that it's not gone before. But it's just different, man.
You're going to need to, right? Because your Earnhardts and
Yeah.
Stewarts and all those guys are
They're-
leaving.
they're-
Gordon.
yeah.
I mean,
they're seems like over the last probably 4 years, one or two big names every year is gone.
they're walking away or half
Yep.
retirement.
Yep.
So that's good. It's good for the sport for the fact that, like you said, there's young guys that really want it and that they're coming up and that they're.
Yeah.
You
Got
just
some
have to have
talent.
that fan base to.
It is, and they're gonna have to go about it differently.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be, hey, look at this new Camaro. It's gonna be like, hey, I'm doing a pop up, something at a mall for their Instagram followers or something.
Yeah.
It's just gonna take creativity, and it's just a sport that for decades didn't have to be creative. Like people just showed up just because it was unique and different, and now it's like, okay. We got it. Cars are going in circles. They're going fast. We understand. We don't necessarily understand, but we know that there's a lot more going into that than just cars going fast. But like, what else?
Yeah.
Like, what else is going to draw me in and connect me to this?
That's up to NASCAR. The
Yeah,
marketing department.
I throw my 2 cents in every
Yeah?
now and then, and generally people don't listen to me, so that's fine.
So
I'm
does
a little-
NASCAR ask the teams for any advice or
Yeah,
thoughts?
there's this thing called RTA, and it's Race Team Alliance, and it's like executives, team owners
Okay.
that are getting together, and they kind of get thoughts, ideas, what they want done, and kind of like just slide the piece of paper over to NASCAR and say, hey, we'd like this.
It's like a suggestion box.
Yeah, and they've done a lot of it. They've tried to work together, and I think one thing that they could do is, it's I was talking to a buddy of mine that was with the Vikings, and this was about this time last year, and 2 years ago, whenever they were trying to figure out what to do with Adrian Peterson. And the ownership group, they were like, hey, why aren't we re-signing? Like, why isn't he coming back? Why aren't we like going, like, he's our guy. If he's healthy, yeah, then he's the man. But all the metrics, all the numbers, everything that they supported showed that as far as like for the team that they needed to move in a different direction. But it was this ownership group a little bit misinformed, getting information from the media, what they've done in the past. They were fighting the team on it. They end up letting it go. They end up going pretty far, last year.
Yeah.
Being pretty good, right? And so it's a similar thing to where a lot of times in sports it's crazy, but the ownership groups are often like really misinformed on like what the actual like true day-to-day needs are the team. It's crazy.
And they're the ones that own it.
And
have the money for it.
absolutely. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So outside of NASCAR, we mentioned in the beginning you have quite a few things. going on. It's interesting to me because I think, again, we're talking perception. How does Lululemon?
Yeah.
How do you get involved in Lululemon? How are you a pit crew guy, football guy?
Yeah.
And I think you being a part of it changes the perception of how people look at it, because what Ryan DeFaber knew of Lululemon was it's yoga pants.
Right. Yeah.
It's a brand for women.
Right.
And then I see Mike Metcalf as a Lululemon ambassador. How did that come about?
Relationship,
Yeah.
a friend who I had met before. He actually dated a girl that worked at Red Bull Racing.
Okay.
And then crossed path years down the line, and now he's a manager at Lululemon and influential in like their men's division. And so they have, I mean, you're probably never going to see a billboard on the highway for Lululemon or even a commercial. They would rather act like I'm a billboard.
Okay.
So they just get behind people in the community that have influence, I guess. Maybe. I mean, if I have any. And they also just look at, what markets are they not in, or who are the people that they would like to identify with their brand. And so there's a event at the Whitewater Center, like a little trail run, and I didn't know it at the time, but I got invited to just run in it. And my wife, they're like, hey, we'll have food and drinks, and we're just gonna get a group of guys in the community to just come and do this trail run. It'd be fun, like not timed or anything like that. I was like, yeah, cool, I'll come hang out. Well, it ended up being like that was kind of a pool of people that they were looking to be like get behind and support as ambassadors. Okay. And so they do this thing where they ask you, it's a big thing, they make a big event, and you get like thousands of dollars worth of stuff for free. You get a card that they keep in a vault in the store. They put your picture up in the store, like it's
so people know who you are.
Yeah. So it's a big thing, and I probably would have done a lot more with it had our team not been sponsored by Ganassi Racing, sponsored by 511 now, technical apparel company, and then before that it was C9, because we had a big Target sponsorship during this time. And so, but we could wear whatever kind of black pants we wanted at the racetrack.
Okay.
So their ABC pants is like the big thing that they're pushing, and they're amazing.
Yeah.
They don't pay me to say that. They are amazing pants. It's like you feel like you got on like just boxers, man. They feel great. So yeah, they like, man, they're wanting to grow their men's division. Like there's this whole community here called NASCAR that has hundreds, if not thousands, of men that are active, that work out, that sweat. We think our stuff's the best to work out and be active or sweat in. Let's just get behind some people that are in that industry that are known or liked or whatever. And so somehow my name got put in a hat, and that's kind of how it started.
Yeah, because you mentioned it, what market, and I'm thinking about, I'm like, was it NASCAR market or the Charlotte market? But you just answered that. It's they're wanting to expose their brand to customers that probably would never think of Lululemon.
Yeah, are you kidding me? Yeah, NASCAR guys. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's a blue collar, hardworking. We're just gonna throw on some Wranglers or some whatever the shop uniform is, or there's always apparel that's given out, so you should wear that, right? But outside of that, so then it started just kind of small with me, and then it's like, hey, why don't we close a store and do a shop night for you guys, invite whoever you want just in your industry and come, and we'll give them a discount. And and then went out to dinner the other night, and I'm looking around, and like everybody on the picture, like all the picture guys have Lululemon on. I'm like, dang it. They got us.
That's good.
But they look great though,
Yeah.
They look good.
They look good, they feel good.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's a part of it, so but yeah, it's a cool brand. They are always doing like kind of fun random stuff in the community. Hikes, big into like just getting away, like a hike or a cabin or something like that, and journaling and setting intentions for the year. Big on like the mental side of life.
Okay.
Yeah, so I appreciate that about them.
That's interesting. I mean, I would have never, if I didn't know you would walk down the street and be like, there's Lululemon and NASCAR. The thought of it is it's wild.
And it's crazy. I mean, some guys were on it before I was, but I've I would stop in in the store. I mean, I could probably at some point go this week, and they'll be like, "Hey, yeah, some guy from some blah 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 race team stopped in here, said he knew you, and said I could get a hookup." And I'm like, I didn't say that, but
of course,
but they're really nice, and they just know, like, hey, that's just like, people at this point know that Lululemon supports the racing industry. Like, we're I think generally they were trying to stick to yoga teachers and CrossFit trainers, and so I think this friend of mine, Kobe, I think had to get like special permission from one of their head men's guys. I think it's Robbie Tubijan. It's one of their big time, like, high up on the men's side, and he was just like, absolutely, the no brainer. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
we've talked about it this whole episode. You guys are athletes, right? It's not this. I'm sponsoring this guy from NASCAR. Oh yeah, John. No, like, this guy's a former football player or a Marine or like, these guys are. You guys are legit.
Yeah.
So that's a good look. And in NASCAR, you know it better than I do. People are brand loyal in NASCAR.
Sure.
You got some crazy fans that will only buy whatever their racer or their team is a part of.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and which is good and bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. All right. So we talked about Lululemon, NASCAR. I do want to talk about some of the other stuff that you have going on, because I think it's important. I want you to be able to talk through it real quick. Clean Juice. What is Clean Juice?
It's an organic, like, health food kind of company.
Mm-hmm.
Acai bowls, smoothies, juices, cold pressed juices, like little, like avocado toast, stuff like that.
Okay.
So it's kind of snack food. It could be a meal, if that's your style.
Yeah.
And it's so the same guy that was at Lululemon that got me on there left to help build Clean Juice, and was the VP. And so I guess for whatever reason thought that I did a good job doing it on the Lululemon side. I was like, hey, help me with this Clean Juice deal. And so same kind of thing, just free products, and just, I'm terrible about posting social media. I think we were talking about that earlier. I love looking at other people's stuff. I feel like my life's boring, so I really don't post a whole lot. But a good company, faith-based, clean products. Part of they're really transparent in what they make, so you see what goes into it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important that we live in an era where everything's convenient or comfortable.
Yep.
And I think food is one of the things we kind of overlook, just because you can just get stuff really quick, or that's already pre-made, pre-packaged, pre-wrapped. And so for me, it's good. There's one that's really close to our shop, so we're busy all the time. And sometimes, you look up and you're like, crap, I've like missed lunch. But being able to just run over there was a huge win, is a huge win. So, because company out in the community, they're trying to grow their brand, and they just need people. Same thing. They're not at the stage where they're doing commercials or anything like that. But if they see a guy like me walk in there, and I go tell a few other people to try it, then that's, it's worth it for them. So,
you mentioned that earlier, and it is big on like social media now. It is this influencer,
Yeah.
Lululemon doesn't do, the billboards and the commercials.
Right.
They rely on people like yourself to get that word out there.
Yep.
Because you see it all the time on Instagram, and it's part of the way that you can make money on Instagram is you get tied to a company, you do a couple posts a month or a week or whatever they need.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing in podcasting, right? Like I can get people to come and advertise on this thing where I can read ads for them.
Yep.
For basically just to get the product out there, and it's cheaper than running a commercial.
It is.
And you can reach more people, probably more people that they want to reach, right?
Right.
Like
directly.
Right, because you're coming on here talking about it, but you're also out in the community.
Yep.
Like you mentioned, your team. Everyone then all of a sudden is wearing Lululemon, whereas a couple years ago, no one's wearing Lululemon in NASCAR.
Yeah, they're making fun of me for wearing it.
Yeah, right. Again, because I said perception for me was they make women's clothes.
Right.
All right, so this is, I saved this one for the last part of it because I think it's from what I saw, it seems like this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but deck leadership, like this is you and one other guy,
Sean.
Sean.
Same guy that coaches.
Okay.
We're both, like I said,
Co-head coach. Yeah.
Co-director.
So it's you two,
Co-coordinators.
and I want to spend some time with this because I think it's a cool thing, and it's also like we were chatting beforehand before we went live of just kind of getting out of our everyday
Yeah.
to have some other type of outlet. So like again, why I started doing the podcast every day.
Yeah.
8 to 5 or longer. It's my company, my client, my company, my client. I needed an outlet. So let's talk about deck leadership. What is deck leadership?
DEC is an acronym for diversity, efficiency, culture, and kindness. And those are the 4 pillars of what I think are successful, sustainable work environments.
Okay.
And it's just, and we didn't know it, but that's who we've been for the last 10 years. We've always tried to, Sean is, I think like people used to say he was an atheist. Like when we first met him, he's a little softer in his attacks against religion now. But he's from Vancouver Island, far west Vancouver Island. Hockey player, no real like spiritual roots or anything like that. I'm from the South, black, deep spiritual roots in my family. He went to Ivy League school. I went to liberal arts, Appalachian State in Boone, a hippie little town. So like hockey, football, like you literally could not find, like geographically, and then even just like in a lot of things further apart.
Yeah.
Like experiences in life. And when I first got to Red Bull, there were 14 guys that were signed. We were probably, I think, the first group that was going to be just full-time pit crew. So before that, it was you had a mechanic job. You had a workout and a practice in the morning, and then in the afternoon you were in the shop. You were in the parts room. You were a mechanic. You were set up. You're a welder, whatever. Red Bull came in and said, "Yeah, we don't really need to do that financially. Why don't you guys just pit? You'll just be full-time pit crew athletes." So I'm in this room, 13 guys. We're missing one. They were like, "Yeah, the Jack man on your group will be in next week. He's getting some dentist work done or something like that." Which I'd learned at that point he had, with the money he was going to make there, made an investment to like get all new teeth because from hockey they were
they're just bad. All busted.
Yeah, it looked like his tongue was in prison.
Poor guy.
So. The very first meeting without him, I was like, man, this is quiet. I'm like trying to hold conversations like, hey, let's go around the room and like, where's everybody from? Let's get some names here. What teams you work with? And I was like, man, this is going to be brutal if I'm having to force all these conversations. Yeah, right. And then the next week, this loudmouth Canadian guy comes in. "Hey, what's up, guys? What are you retards doing?" I'm like, "Hey, what are we doing here? Like, let's get some, let's get the music going." Blah, blah, blah. He's just talking. And I'm like, thank God. I don't know who this guy is, but I love him. And here we are several years later, still together. And all Red Bull, Waltrip, Ganassi, we've
you guys went up through the whole team.
Same team, yeah. And
he's still the Jack man?
He's full-time coaching now.
Okay.
So I'm kind of player coach. So when we came to Ganassi, one of us kind of had to give it up.
Yeah.
And it was like somebody's got to go full-time on the coaching side. And somebody can still pit. He's older. It's got me by about 5 years. So
okay.
It's like, hey, man, you keep going. I'll do it. So always worked well together. And so last year, for years, so we would do these team building things like Toyota back in the day. Red Bull was a Toyota team. Fly everybody out to like Vegas or California to put on these like team building expositions.
Okay.
And we always did really well with them. And then same thing at Waltrip. It wasn't even for Waltrip. It was like for Roush, hired us out from there. And so we've been able to entertain groups and not just entertain, but like empower and inspire them from anywhere from like 5 to like 120. And running them through different challenges or presentations, things like that. So last year, we got invited to speak at the NFL Combine. and that was just fortuitous kind of thing. We actually declined initially. Or like, I'm not going up there and speaking in front of all those people.
Yeah, right.
You know, I'm not a public speaker. Have bad stage fright. I don't like it. But then we thought about it because for years people were like, you guys need to do this.
Yeah.
Like you need to, whenever you're not done this, you can make a living. I'm telling you, just talking to people or doing team building stuff. And so we threw a presentation together, went up there. I thought we bombed it. I was like, this is bad.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't wait to get out of that room. I'm like gonna just take off running. Massive ovation. It was for PFATs, which is all the like athletic trainers. It was operations directors. It was strength and conditioning. It was a performance program. Like all kind of people on the administrative and then like performance side of every NFL team was presented. Huge ovation. We were there for probably an hour talking to different people from different teams afterwards. And so still didn't think anything of it. Connected with some guys from Kansas City. So when we raced out there, we went out a day early just to kind of connect with them. That ended up being a ton of fun. One of their guys was actually a huge fan of our team, was pumped to meet us. Brought in, like, he's actually number 42, which is my car number, right? So he brings me his jersey with Metcalf on it, Kansas City. So, I mean, that's like...
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and so so even from there, and so that relationship's like really well now. I know a lot of people in their organization, a lot of their players, just awesome guys. I think they're doing things the right way culturally. And so kind of from then, I mean, it's just been like kind of random stuff to where people said, hey, would you guys come, like just come, we have this opening or we're having this conference for our executives. Would you guys come talk? And we not thinking of charging anybody or anything. We're just like, yeah, we'll, you know, if you think we can help you, we'll do it. And it's just evolved to where my wife was like, you guys are going to stop giving stuff away for free.
Eventually, as a business, you need to make money.
Yeah. So we're like, all right, well then, you know, who are we? And that was a good friend of ours, Michelle, and we, the three of us just sat down and just started brainstorming. There's a guy named Brad Parsenko here locally, Zebra Leadership. We spent some time with him. He's been awesome. Bruce Fritch is a big-time consultant here. Spent some time with him. And just kind of rolled out some different presentations and some different workout sessions. And we spent most of last off-season writing a book. We're going to spend this off-season like redoing it, like on our second draft.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's ready soon. But Deck Leadership essentially is like leadership development and human inspiration. And we feel like, I was saying earlier, like we just closed on a working mill in Lincolnton, 35 miles outside the city of Charlotte, just to provide an opportunity for people to get away. You know, it'll be, you know, we'll do weddings, things like that, but really want to have like a space for innovation and clarity of thought. Running water, fire, nature, these are all things that have inspired like thought. I mean, one of the things that we tell people all the time is that you have to build time for yourself to think. There is no way you're going to be productive or efficient at your job. People sometimes ask me, what are some of the secrets to like how you do so much? And a lot of it is just unplugging and getting away from it. If you're in it all the time, 24/7, there's no way you can actually think about what the next steps are beyond the next steps.
Yeah.
And so, Deck is taking off. We're potentially going to be doing a tour next year with Progressive to do like the series of talks to small business owners. There's some other cool things we're working on. So it's just kind of born out of literally somebody asking us to do something we didn't want to do, but we said yes, and we're really glad we said yes.
I was going to say, and hopefully you got over that fear of public speaking, because it sounds like you're going to do a lot more of that.
But I still get nervous. I do the seeing everybody in their underwear thing works for me. So
I was when I started this, one of the things that kind of got me over that was like just talking, right? Like first time I pressed record, like I was nervous. I'm like sitting in this room by myself. I'm like, no one's listening. Like, what are you getting nervous about?
Right.
But and now I can't remember who I learned this from. But the one I was listening to somebody, and it was basically like, just who cares?
Yeah.
Just do it. Like,
yeah.
If you fail at it, big deal. Like, it's only you. Like, stop caring so much about what others think.
Right.
And so, because I'm the same way, right? Like, I can sit here and have a conversation for hours, but then you put me in a room, of people I even know.
Right.
It could be 20 people from my company that I know, and I have to stand up and like introduce yourself, and it's like they all know me. Like, why do I have to do that? And like the heart still goes a little bit, and I'm like, And recently, I was just finally just like, who cares? Just get up and talk, and it's helped me kind of just get over it. Just that clarity of mind of like, who cares?
Right.
Stop caring.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're gonna get that, and then you'll get so comfortable at it that you won't even notice anymore.
Yeah. We've talked from 10 to thousands, so it's definitely, those are two very different experiences, as far as like making eye contact and the intimacy of 10 versus 1,000. But Janie Brown's been great. She's a performance mindset coach up in Toronto, so went through a program with her, just kind of working on different things about being aware and adjusting and accepting like where you are, who you are, what you have to say. And Dave Hickman's a friend here locally, started Charlotte One.
Okay.
And he just said, like no one knows what you're going to say next.
Yeah.
So if you miss a line or you forget something, like don't freak out about it. Like they don't know either. So just keep rolling with it. And I said public speaking is and Janie, same thing. It's just all about connecting. That's it. And if you can connect with one person, then you connect with 10,000. It's no different.
Yeah.
And so we tell our pit crew guys all the time, fail quickly. If you miss one lug nut, don't miss the next 4. If you miss the right side of the car, let it go, forget it. Those are two words that generally don't go together, failure and then quickly. But if we can be the quickest to overcome our failures, then we can be the most successful. And so just try to take that onto the stage with me. Like, all right, I'm going to butcher some lines. I'm going to forget something, because I do it literally every time I've ever been on stage. I like leave it and like, people are clapping and I'm like, dang it. I forgot the most important thing that I really wanted to say that day. But, also being in flow and just knowing that, what you have is good and just being confident with it.
That's how this is, right? Like for me, I like keeping it unedited. Basically, when I tell people I'm editing, all I'm doing is putting my intro song in and my outro song, and everything that happens for this period of time, nothing's edited out. So, like the last episode, this crazy dog was like jumping in my lap, and I get a text from my buddy. He's like, "Who the hell was petting the dog?" I'm like, "It was me." And you know what? It's right. Cool. It's part of the conversation. But then also, yesterday I'm with my friends, and one of them was like, "I really wish you would have asked Bard this when he brought up this in the last episode. I really wish you." I'm like, I'm in the moment, man. Like I sent you kind of the topics that I wanted to address, but basically over the last hour I've looked at it maybe 3 or 4 times, because I'd rather just have a guidance.
Yeah.
But I'd rather just have a conversation. Now, there's going to be things I'm going to look back and be like, shoot, Mike, I meant to ask you that and I didn't do it. But, right, same for you. Do you go up there? Do you have your, like, topics in front of you? Or do you kind of just, you have it in the head?
Lately it's just been in my head.
Yeah.
I'll rehash it. The last thing I did, I think I over-prepared. And it was supposed to be a big crowd. It ended up being really small. So I had got it so detailed in my head, like I had like what row and what number of person over on the seat I was going to ask a question to, but like no one was in that seat. So it was like, dang it. But if you're supposed to be packed out, then somebody for sure would be there. And like, I was going to dictate this side of the room for this, and then this one for that. And then when it didn't happen, it threw me off. So I had to kind of like adjust on the fly. And, a couple people that know me really well were like, "Hey, what was going on there?" But if you didn't, for seeing it, hearing me talk for the first time, like thought it was great.
It would have been normal.
Exactly. So part of it, I think now is just finding that sweet spot between not caring too much, kind of like what you're saying, like don't care, like it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah, who
it doesn't
cares?
have to be like the best thing ever, but preparing enough to where your content, to where you don't have to look down and reference a bunch of stuff either.
So where can people go and find Deck Leadership?
Deckleadership.com, DECK leadership.com. After this, I'm going to go with our web designer and kind of revamp something. We haven't touched the website in a while.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's fine. Everything's on there, but a lot of like testimonials and stuff that we've done. We were at the Ohio University Symposium. Ohio University has the #1 sports management program, post-college like master's program.
Okay.
In the world. And so we presented alongside a GM of Nike, which was crazy, right?
Yeah,
Because
that is
it's
wild.
like, this is, are you guys sure you want us? You know, but but we did well,
Yeah.
and people loved it, and so it's we're going to be working just kind of grassroots right now. Like, we're not really doing a ton with marketing, advertising. We've got incredible people that have just literally volunteered to help us grow it, just because they believe in it, which is really special to Sean and I.
Yeah.
Because this is just people donating their talents out of their own free time. It'll be a thing one day. This book's going to be a big project. We've got
Writing a book's you can't just come
well,
up
the
with something.
content, like, we've got it. We're down in the, like, editing and revisions, and it's gonna there are already a lot of people in a lot of different industries that are waiting for it, just because of kind of some of the things we've talked about. They've been curious because, I mean, like you said, NASCAR, hillbillies, things like that. We've got an incredibly diverse team, and part of it for me is like, I want that. And so I want guys that, where if there's a riot, I want people that are going to be like, yes, I'm going to go join in. And then people that are like, yeah, we need to go down there with guns to stop these suckers. And we're all sitting at the same table.
Yeah.
And we have tough conversations.
I'm sure.
We've got, I mean, every now and then it's like somebody comes in, Mike, Sean, you got to get outside right now. It's like, you two
Got to come to blows
in the office right now.
Yeah.
And just being able to sit down and talk about that. That's the only way you get together, like people, diversity can separate, and it does cause fear at a lot of occasions, but it can also be the thing that unites you.
See, that's what more people should actually think of.
Yeah.
But all right, so I want to finish it with first off, I don't think you sleep, because from everything we've just talked about, I don't know how I would balance that, but I think in my experience as an athlete, a former athlete, and still continuing, I go to the gym. I'm not like you. I don't work out like you do. It's not a part of my everyday.
I don't have a choice.
But I feel like for athletes, or for us that obviously played in college too, time management. That's one of my. I hate when people are like, "Oh, I can multitask." You know what? It's time management, really, to me. Like, time management for an athlete.
Yeah.
Being in college, balancing all that stuff, that's where really that's helped me in my professional career. And I think too for you, you have all this stuff going on, but you said it earlier, you're like, it doesn't really.
Yeah.
As long as I have that right balance, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of it going on, a lot of stuff going on. It's not that bad. So what's next for Mike Metcalf? What's the future hold for you? If you have a crystal ball.
Crystal ball. People keep telling me I'm going to be in politics one day.
Okay.
I am fighting that. I mean, aggressively fighting that. I think author, like public speaker.
Yeah.
Being able to help executives and teams work more efficiently. Sean's incredibly efficient with everything he does. I'm like just a little bit behind him, but I still managed to do a decent job. I think you're right. It is time management. What was I going to say? People that say they're really good multitaskers, the science on that is like kind of iffy, like you're never giving, if you're multitasking, you're not giving something 100%.
Right.
And so I think Sean and I are kind of old school in the sense of like, I think I'd rather just not multitask. I think I would just give 100% to something, know it's right, and then move on. And that comes to the the efficiency part of what we do. I mean, think of the frustration that I have in the checkout line at Lowe's or Harris Teeter when I know that there's somebody that could be doing something quicker, but maybe they're unhappy with their wage or just had a rough morning, and I'm getting screamed at. Okay.
Yeah.
People will not talk to me, look me in my eye because I was 0.51 off of something.
Yeah.
And then people waste hours of their life on different things, and so we love to get that mill up and running up in Lincolnton and just have like simplicity retreats, just kind of like elite workshops where people can get away. I've always thought that brilliance and creativity and the things that really moves and drives human souls and society forward, like it's generally like, you have this eureka moment. It's not while you're in the weeds.
Right.
It's when you're just having a drink or a cigar with your buddies, or just taking a walk or a nap, or just sitting on the couch, just hanging out in the shower. So just trying to create those opportunities for people in a world where that's just solely getting suffocated.
Yeah.
And so, so that's that. I'm on the board of the Charlotte Rescue Mission, doing a lot of work there. I love being able to use what I've learned in the industry over the last 10, 15 years and just with personal experiences to help, bring this board together. And we're opening up a coffee shop at the Charlotte Rescue Mission. It's a faith-based recovery program.
Okay.
So it's got 2 campuses. One's for men, another one's for women and children. And it's people that have suffered from, poverty, homelessness, addiction, abuse. And there's like 120 men on the men's side. I think there's 80 women, I think 25 kids right now. And so building a coffee shop and a breakfast and lunch place.
Yeah.
A lot of the problem is that people that come from these broken backgrounds, they can go through a program like ours and rehabilitate, but then nobody will hire them. So this will be a kind of a proving ground for people to come in, get some training certificates, some work experiences, an employer that'll vouch for them. Because it goes back to like the Instagram. It's everything's about credibility now.
Yep.
Somebody that can vouch for you socially. People are going to go to a Yelp review long before they're going to, actually go to something that can actually tell you about the actual product. They're just going to listen to what Ryan D posted, and he said 4 stars. All right, I'm in.
It is amazing what the consumer now has, the ability
incredible
of the
power.
voice that we all as consumers have. Yeah,
incredible power. So I appreciate that kind of work. So the future to kind of circle back around.
Yeah.
It may look like being in a nonprofit kind of space, some kind of charitable act that kind of helps move society a little bit. Feel like I've taken a lot from the world, so at some point, hopefully, I can give something back to it.
Well, I'll tell you, in the last hour of talking and catching up, if I had to sum up Mike Metcalf and who he is, I would say you're somebody with a servant mentality, because what you're doing outside of, and even in NASCAR, right? Like the coaching aspect of it, the efficiencies you're working with, and then you driving deck leadership, and then the rescue mission, and you as a father and a husband, which we didn't even talk about, but it's there, right? Like,
it's there.
Yeah,
got in from Phoenix early this morning. It was there this morning. Little guy,
you can't escape it.
Old. Yeah, you don't care about what I was doing last night.
But well, I'm excited for you, man. I think again, it was good catching up with you, but just to hear what you're up to and what's for the future, that it's bright. Writing a book and all that stuff, it's incredible. So like I said, I'm excited for you. I think you have a lot to give. Like you said, okay, we've taken a lot, but you got a lot to give, and that's a great thing.
Hope so, man. Cool. Yeah. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Any other things you're involved in that I didn't have a biography written about you yet, so I didn't know what else you have going on. But did we miss anything?
Yeah, we'll save some stuff for the book, and maybe once that's out, we'll come back and do another one.
Yeah, we'll bring Sean on. I'd love to have you two.
Oh man, yeah, you're gonna need like a couple hours.
That's okay. I was telling Bard, I said we need to just get both of his brothers on too.
Oh yeah,
because. Same thing with you. It seems like for some reason all my friends come from this ridiculous athletic families. So again, you mentioned your sister plays professional basketball in Europe for the last 10 years, and you're in NASCAR, and you got Johnny and your other sister. I mean, you guys are just athletic families, and the Bard's same thing. The youngest one is in pro baseball still. So like, come on, have a couple hours. I don't mind.
Okay.
Look, man. I like doing this, so I'll have you guys on. So when the book comes out, we'll get you back on the schedule.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you, Mike.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Adios.